So I shared this story with some friends of mine yesterday, and I thought I'd share it with you as well. I was in School of Ministry back in 2017, 2018, and in one of our classes, our instructor led us through a guided prayer just to work through some past hurts in our lives. And the instructor took us through, just had us, close our eyes and get quiet and ask the Holy Spirit about a particularly hard time in our past and ask, where was Jesus in that moment? I was immediately taken to a memory from when I was about 19 years old and I was pregnant and I was living in my grandparents' house. My grandparents were living with my parents and my husband and I were living in my grandparents' house. And I was standing at the kitchen sink doing the dishes. I think it's incredible that this memory was so vivid that as soon as I asked, about this hard time, I was a teen mom, basically. I was 19 when I had my son, and I was married, having to figure out this whole adulthood thing really, really early. I was in college, but still, figuring out the adult thing really early. And it was tough. My husband and I were both still in college, and here we are pregnant. And while we were doing okay, we were getting by okay. We were, money wasn't necessarily an issue. We didn't have to pay rent because it was my grandparents' house, things like that. It was still tough. We were navigating a new marriage, anticipating having a baby, all of that. And it was just a very nervous time for me. And as I was in this memory, I asked Jesus, where were you in this time? And before I tell you what he showed me, I want to go back and say, I have believed in God and Jesus for as long as I can remember. I didn't always follow him. I wasn't always chasing after him. And I had I would say, I did not have a relationship with Jesus at this time. I was really in a place where I prayed every day, but it was a very rote prayer of Jesus, thank you for the day. Thank you for taking care of me. Please watch over me while I sleep. And that was kind of about it. And if something was really hard or I was really struggling with something, then I might pray and ask for help with that. But I never really expected a response. I never heard him speak to me during that time. But I just I knew he was real. And so in this time, as I was standing there at the kitchen sink, and I asked Jesus, like I said, where were you in this time when everything was so new and so scary and having a baby and new marriage and all of that? And I heard the words in my head, Tandem Jesus. And then he showed me, and the picture that I got was me standing there at the kitchen sink, doing the dishes. The dishwasher's to my right, it's open. I'm washing, putting stuff in the dishwasher, and Jesus is standing right behind me. It was like he was right here, right behind me, and his arms around me on my arms. And you think tandem skydiving, right? That's what you think of, where it's basically the person who knows how to do it and do it well, the expert, has the reins, right? They're the one who's going to pull the ripcord and let the parachute out. They're the one guiding, and you're just along for the ride. You're strapped to the front of them, and you're just there to enjoy it. You have no major part in it. You're just there, and they're the one that's in control. And that's what he showed me. He showed me that he was in control in that time. His arms were on my arms. His hands were on my hands. And as I did the most mundane thing of doing the dishes with my pregnant belly pressed up against the counter. And I remember even like during that time, I would like kind of lean in like you do when you're at the counter and you're doing the dishes. You'd lean in, and my son in my belly would push me away. I was crowding him right here. I would feel him push me away from the sink. But Jesus was right there with me. I didn't know it. I couldn't feel him. I wasn't aware of his presence, but he was right there with me every moment of it, every second of it. in the mundane things and the hard things and the scary things, he was right there. And he was so loving. And I felt so taken care of in that moment as he showed me that he was Tandem Jesus, that he was in control, that I really didn't have to worry about anything in that time. Now, at that point, this was like 25 years past when that event happened, when I was standing there washing the dishes as a 19-year-old new mom, or mom-to-be. And so comforted, I was so comforted by Jesus showing me that he was right there with me the entire time, doing every moment with me. And I knew that it was all good. It was all okay. That there wasn't anything wasted or wrong or anything like that I didn't fail. I hadn't failed. While getting into that marriage and being that new mom and everything maybe didn't happen in the right order that it was supposed to. Jesus was still right there with me with all the grace and all the mercy and supporting me and guiding me through that. And I'm so grateful for that. So I wanted to share that with you and encourage you that even when you don't feel it, even in your darkest and hardest and scariest moments, even when you don't feel him there, you don't physically feel his presence. I didn't really know I didn't know it was even possible to feel his presence at that time. But to know that he was there, because I did believe in him and I did trust him. And I know that I had already given my heart to him. And to know that he was right there. And he showed me, clear as day, that he was right there with me. So I now know when I'm going through hard times now, when I have those scary moments, those times when I'm starting something brand new or delving into something that feels very uncomfortable, in my prayer, I will ask, will you be Tandem Jesus with me again? Will you walk this with me? Will you be right there, step by step, move by move, and go through this with me? I pray that this blesses you, and I pray that you can see and ask him, ask the same question. Just get quiet and ask the Holy Spirit to show you where was Jesus in that moment that was so hard. And he will more than be willing to show you where he was. It's one of the most beautiful things. And now I know that I don't have to physically feel him, physically experience him in those moments to know that he's right there with me, because he's already shown me that he is. I pray this blesses you. If it does, would you leave a comment? Tell me what you thought about this. Share a moment that you've had with Jesus where you've had that confirmation that in that hard, scary thing, he was right there with you. I'd love to hear your story. Go ahead and share that with me. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And I pray that this blesses you.